for Trump. This is big news, and we're going to get into why it matters. A federal judge here quashing grand jury subpoenas in Trump's effort to harass the Federal Reserve to try to help him in the election. I'll explain, but bottom line, Trump loses, Federal Reserve Chair Powell wins. This is a blow to the whole thing. And in over 25 pages, Trump learned he is powerless to do the kind of legal harassment that he's trying. I'll just tell you some of the highlights coming out of this blistering rejection of what has been a pattern that you've probably noticed. Trump trying to use or abuse federal powers in the DOJ to go after anyone who disagrees with him. The judge writes, there's abundant evidence these subpoenas' dominant, if not sole purpose, is to harass and pressure Powell, either to yield to the president or to resign and make way for a Fed chair who will. He adds, on the other side of the scale, the government has offered no evidence whatsoever that Powell committed any crime other than displeasing the president, and contends the subpoenas were merely part of a game plan to pressure Powell to bend to the president's wishes or get rid of him. That is a description of Donald Trump breaking the law. In other words, his attempted subpoenas illegal. The judge says this was a pressure campaign. And of course, the administration has targeted many of Trump's opponents, people who disagree with him, people who've exercised First Amendment rights. Our list here, which we've continued to update, and we updated it today. If you look into, I know it's hard to keep track of all the revenge prosecutions and probes, but if you look in the middle, you see subpoenas quashed. That's the update today. Many of these efforts failing against the so-called enemies list. And there's another layer here, because Trump's pressure on the Fed and how he's talked about it himself, sometimes in his social media posts, which are quoted against him, holding his words against him in the ruling, and sometimes in other forums, is he wanted the Fed to do what it wasn't doing, which was distort interest rates and economic policy to give him a short-term sugar rush to help him in the midterms. So this is a story about the rule of law holding, a story about Trump losing in court, and perhaps about him losing going into the midterms.